What's going on, everybody? Coach MccDann here. Keeping players on their toes is vital to your success in Smash Ultimate. And today, we'll be going over the Mixup archetype, where we will go over a specific set of characters that will always keep your opponent guessing what's next. In the words of William Shakespeare, why then can one desire too much of a good thing? Oftentimes, when playing Smash, there's multiple instances throughout one's playstyle that tend to lean heavily on one aspect of their character's kit. But luckily for Mixup players, there's more than enough options that can help establish a playstyle that doesn't allow a player to become habitual. Well, in most cases. Allow me to explain. Mixup characters are established well enough with both their projectile kits as well as excellent attack options to establish a gameplay style that doesn't rely on one key aspect of their play other than the other. Think of it like this. If you're playing a brawler character, chances are you're playing a character that prioritizes good aerial and grounded attacks, first and foremost, and in comparison, do not have as many aggressive projectiles to rely on as much as zoner characters would. So now, you could determine that a Mixup character involves both of these aspects from both archetypes incorporated into one. Sounds like a good deal, right? Well, you'd be correct. But like every character in Smash, there's some pitfalls that Mixup characters have in regards to their playstyle, despite the fact the goods outweigh the bads in this situation. But before we get into why that is, let's get into a little warm-up first. Feel free to play up to 3 games with one or more of the characters you see on screen now. Mixup characters consist of amazing attack methods, projectiles, and special moves to accommodate for their differentiating factors between each character throughout the archetype. But with this freedom of such an open, viable range of tools to work with, sometimes there's a good chance that a player won't fully utilize these characters' potentials enough. Think of it like this. Assume your opponent always knows that you're going to either prioritize using projectiles or using attacks, assuming they know your character matchup or more about your archetype. One thing that you as a player can adapt to is how you handle these situations. You can either use a character that has some projectiles to sort of space things out and keep things at a safe distance like with Wolf, or you could be an all-out aggressor and play a character like Captain Falcon where fast-paced aggression is at the forefront of his play. Changing how you play each match is vital to mastering any character in the Mixup archetype. Mixup characters typically like to force an opponent to be approached, even if the opponent does their best to maintain neutral. For some characters, it could be easier to avoid certain things like Ness PK Fire, while other characters would take a bit more work to essentially trick the opponent into letting them get approached. Palutena is a good example here. With aggressive special moves like her Explosive Flame for longer range attacks, and her Reflect for punishing close range attacks, one thing that makes Palutena so difficult to fight against for some players involves her aggressive actionable moves that intimidate the opponent from approaching to begin with. You can keep this in mind as you learn more about how each character performs throughout this archetype individually. Alright, we just went over the Mixup archetype. This will help you determine going forward what a match will seem like involving these characters in the future once you come across them in battle. Playing 3 to 5 games against a CPU level you're comfortable with, as well as selecting a character from this category you've played the least of, will not only build your knowledge on that character matchup, but allow you to get a general understanding of how all characters in this archetype perform.